Thank you for joining For Our Special Kids, where we openly and honestly discuss the magic and the mess of raising a child with special needs. We are thrilled to have you here and hope this time provides you with some wonder and wisdom. I'm your host, Jennifer Lansing. Let's get started. I am so excited to share this episode with you. I stalked Mary on Instagram, and she graciously was like, yes, I would love to talk about how breath work can affect the nervous system and how we can use breath work to be better parents, and also how we can teach our children how to use it to be more present within themselves. So this is a really fun episode. Mary gives us some very tangible things to immediately implement in our life with our kids. So enjoy. And as always, let me know what you think. So I am here with this wonderful new friend that I've made on Instagram, who I pretty much stalked. Let's just be honest about that. I love your quirkiness on Instagram. I love the messages that you present. And Mary, I'm just honored that you've joined us. So let me take a moment to introduce you and read your bio, and then we'll get right into the interview. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. So Mary is a trauma-informed breath facilitator who focuses on nervous system health and using the breath to heal your mind, body, and soul. Mary is a mother of two and a wife living in New Zealand on a small farm. She breathes nature and likes to share how the power of the breath has changed her life. Okay, so fun. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about how you got into breath work and really what it means to you. And I love it. You just touched your heart. You're so sweet. Okay.
So I had Daniel 5 years ago, and he was born with a super fast heartbeat. He was breathing so quick. And the nurses didn't know what was wrong with him, but they knew something was wrong because all night he was quivering, he was making these sounds. I didn't know this, but it was because he was in my belly. And if you knew me then, I was crazy workaholic, so stressed. I had adrenal fatigue. I had endometriosis for 10 years. I had started my journey with a naturopath to get pregnant because I couldn't get pregnant. And then we healed for 2 years, and then I got pregnant with Daniel naturally. But I hadn't dealt with any of my trauma, and I hadn't dealt with any of that underlying stuff. Also, I was a makeup artist, so I was holding my body wrong and up kind of in my chest. So I was chest breathing, and I owned a modeling agency, so I was managing like 100 models. And I had a makeup brand with a business partner who was like my dad. So it was kind of like a trauma bond that I attracted her because I hadn't dealt with all my shit. So yeah, if you knew me, you'd have been like, that girl never stops. Like, I'd be working till 1 or 2 because I just wanted to work to find my worth and to please people and for people to say that I was amazing because I was doing all these things. But I hadn't actually got to the root of why I was doing all these things. And it got to the point where lockdown hit, the first lockdown, and I wasn't getting emails. And I was like, this is great. And I'm not dying. And I had 2 kids then. Throughout all that, I was starting businesses throughout having my kids. And I just got so burnt out that I was on my bed twitching from stress. And then I started to find breathwork. It just came to me. I had gone to breathwork 7 years ago in Auckland with a counsellor, but she didn't teach me how to breathe correctly. We just did breath work. And I had the most profound experience that I said to her, I'm going to do this when I'm older. And I thought I'd be, 60 doing it, but just decided to start. I'm 36. I started when I was 33, and I changed my whole careers. I sold my business. Now I just live and breathe this because it's changed my life so much.
Wow.
Mm.
I'm really pleased that we're chit-chatting because, well, no, it's really interesting. I've had to deal a lot with self-worth and how my career and making money and doing and being amazing, like what you talked about, that's really where
Mm.
I used to get a lot of just, I thought it was the core of who I was. And then all of a sudden, I have this child who makes me slow down, makes me
Mm.
look at myself in the mirror, and helps me understand that there is so much more beyond this existence than sitting behind a computer and making money. Now, don't get me wrong, and I'm very open about this. I love money, and I tell the universe, I love money and I accept money however you want to bring it to me, but I don't have to be stressed because of it. So I love that. And I think it's really interesting or scary, kind of, that your son, but it makes perfect sense, right? That your
Mm.
son was a little you.
Yeah.
When you started doing breath work and then you had your second child, was she a little better or were you not quite there yet? Because you said you kind of started doing this before, but tell me about that.
I wasn't quite there. She had colic and reflux for 6 months, but she came out of it a lot quicker than Daniel. He had eczema problems for 2 years. He's still got a little bit of anxiety now, but he teaches people how to breathe on the playgrounds if they're stressed. Because the more I practice in front of them, the more they just start to mimic me. And some days, if it's really hard, I'll just start tapping. Because when you tap, do you know about EFT tapping?
I do, but let's go ahead and start talking about all the things that you know. So let's start there.
So when you tap, you can tap like on the top of your head or top of your eyebrows or the bottom of your eyes or your chest and your collarbones or your sternum. It sends a message to your reptilian brain, which is our survival brain, which will always take over if we're in fight or flight or stress. And it'll send the message that you're not in trouble, you're not being attacked by a predator. So we are programmed to have our reptilian brain, which is kind of our survival mode. If you're in fight or flight or freeze, your reptilian brain will take over. It kind of overrides everything else, your frontal lobes and everything. If you're in a survival mode, stress, anxiety state, your ego mind, your default mode network, which is your ego mind, will do anything it can to protect you. And I believe our ancestors have passed this down from having predators, but we don't have predators now. What are our predators now to you? Like other people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess your
Stress.
boss, exactly. Stress. That's the first thing that popped in
Yeah.
my mind. Like, stress is a total predator. Get ya.
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah. Fear.
Yeah.
Food. Yeah. Especially bad foods.
Yeah. Yeah. I love we can hear your kids in the background. It's fantastic.
Oh, is that okay?
I love real life recordings. Let's just be honest. We're moms and we got
Awesome.
stuff going on. Okay, so you started tapping in front of your kids, and that
Yeah.
helps stabilize or release the reptilian brain from the fight, flight, or freeze mode. And
Yeah.
as a result, what happens then to our system?
It just helps you to remember to breathe as well. So once you tap, you start to get into a rhythm. And if your brain knows what's coming next, it will just calm down. It will relax into a deeper brainwave, a slower brainwave, and everything kind of mellows out in your nervous system. But the key is sending that message to your nervous system that you're not under attack. And I will sit down and do it in front of my children, and they're like, "What? What are you doing?" To the point now where Bailey, like we're laying down before she goes to sleep and she'll tap me. And it's just, yeah,
Oh, I love
it's
that.
so beautiful.
I love
And
that. Will you walk our listeners through how long well, and me too, how long you need to do it to feel the impact on your nervous system. Before we had some connectivity issues, I said, listen, I tapped for literally like 5 seconds and I felt 5 seconds. So what's the ideal?
I think that we all have a different window of tolerance. Like we all know where our stress boundaries are. So it could take longer for some people, but a good one is just to tap. I'm tapping in my sternum now, your collarbones. You can even tap on the side of your hand, and this is really good for kids under the table at school. So, like your pinky finger, go down and tap there on this side of your hand. Yeah, just down a little bit more there with 3 fingers if you can. And
Okay, so
also on your knees, you can tap.
so kind of near that first wrinkle, not wrinkle,
Yep,
line in your
yep,
hand. Okay.
yep, down to
So,
your wrist.
oh, so like
So you
that.
can just, yep,
Okay.
like
Nobody
that.
can
Yeah.
see this, but literally, so my index finger is kind of on that top line, and then my pinky is all the way down to that lower bone of my wrist, and you're just lightly tapping. And what a great
Yeah.
thing for a child who might have nervous energy, anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
trouble focusing. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, all of those things just under the desk, which is so cool. They can just tap for
Yeah.
30 seconds or just, well, actually, you said just until they feel the release
Yeah.
or
And you
a
see a lot of,
connection. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and you see a lot of kids with ADD, shaking their leg or
Yeah.
tapping.
Yeah.
And it's actually a form of them to relax or they're tired and they're trying to keep themselves awake by doing something. So it's a nervous system reaction. Everything we do is a nervous system reaction. The more you look into it, you're like, wow, that person is, I don't know, at work, and you can tell that they're angry at every customer, but at the end of the day, they don't want to be there. Their nervous system doesn't want to be there. Or someone with anxiety, it's just them telling them their nervous system saying they don't feel safe.
Right. Right.
Um,
So just to go back, you also said you could tap your knee. Will you
yeah,
explain
could tap
that?
the top of your knee, just before the bone, just tapping on that part there.
Okay. So the top of the kneecap, like more
Yeah,
on the
top of the
top of
knee.
the leg. Okay.
Yeah.
What a great little technique to teach kids. And then you said like before Bailey goes to sleep, you just or she taps you, but do you
Mm.
tap her to just calm down and have her settle in more into her routine?
Yeah. Yeah, I tap her whenever she lets me. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
But even stroking of the head is a good one too. Stroking of the hair, just
Mm-hmm.
gently, or down in between the eyebrows, down the nose. That makes babies go to sleep really quick. You know
Did
that.
did you catch that on Frozen too? Oh yeah,
Yeah, probably.
she does that. The mom does that when she's telling them about she's singing the song. She does that, and it's true. It's very calming. So
Yeah.
when you look at calming the nervous system and then connecting it to breath work, what does that
Mm.
look like?
So when you're in school, do you remember learning how to speed your heart rate up?
Yes.
That's all we've focused on, really, at my school. Nobody taught me how to slow down my heart rate. And that's what I believe kids need to learn. So when we're in a stressed out situation, what do? We take a big sigh into our chest usually. Yep, shoulders move up. That's not the right way to do it. We need to breathe into our bellies and use our diaphragm, because if our diaphragm's tight, it also sends a message to our nervous system that we're stressed out. So what we're going to do is not move the shoulders. I want everyone to do this with me, whoever's listening, and not move the shoulders and breathe into the belly, not the chest. So into the belly for 4 seconds, and then breathing out slowly for 8 seconds. 3, 4, 5. And now I want you to pull on your pelvic floor. Yeah, and now breathing in, let go of the tummy. And then you're going to start to feel your body loosen up. So in for 4, out for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And as you go, pulling on that pelvic floor and breathing in. And the more you do this, it changes the brain pattern, because a lot of us breathe in and tense our abs in. And that's social conditioning, because
Oh, so social conditioning. Oh.
superheroes, for one, are the way that they
They're all
stand.
tight.
They're cartoons.
Yeah.
Men do this more than women, I believe.
They have that superpower stance.
Yeah.
I still, to this day, and one of my, I think it was my second podcast episode, was with a woman named Sylvia Shordyke, and she talks about neuroplasticity. And I did her training, and I didn't realize that I held my shoulder blades together and my abdomen in every moment of every day because I
Yeah.
wanted to be thin.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, I wanted to have this tight abs, and I still do. I catch myself holding it in because I don't want the pooch. I don't want that look, that perception. And it's debilitating, truthfully, Mary, right?
Yeah. It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. Oh, such a good word. And so, okay. So I loved it, by the way, that you just gave everyone an exercise, because I did it just while we were listening, and I felt, I mean, you can tell I started this recording like, and you're like, oh, she's a totally different person. I need to breathe more often. Really, I should just
No,
try.
I like your energy. Good.
Yeah, but I am off the wall sometime. And okay, so I'm just putting this into perspective, one of a mom or a dad or a caregiver who their child is going bananas, having a tantrum, or just not focused, like even just fussing, right? Like just not being their beautiful selves. Hello, like every child has an opportunity to do. And even if we just said, okay, for 10 seconds or for 30 seconds, I'm just going to take 3 deep, lovely, soothing to my nervous system breaths.
Yeah.
And then, see, look at, I was like, oh, my shoulders just moved up. Okay. But you know what? Then, okay, whatever. Start breathing in your shoulders. It doesn't matter. But at least you took 30 seconds, and your child will feel it. I mean, we have incredibly intuitive children. We are birthing even more intuitively sensitive children. They'll feel it. And I would wonder, I'd love to get some feedback from people if their child's in the middle of a tantrum and they just pulled away, stepped back, even looked out the window and just said, okay, 30 seconds. No one's going to die in 30 seconds. I mean, unless there's something going on, then okay, don't do the breathing, fix the situation. But you know what I mean? We're not telling you to ignore emergency situations. Okay. CYA, cover my tushy wishy. Okay. Now the other thing, so parents, caregivers, grandparents, the whole family, brothers and sisters. But then I love the concept of you saying, yeah, you can also teach your children this. You have breathing_BEE, correct? On Instagram. And that's a specific site designed for kiddos or place. Okay. So tell me about how you work with children to help them become more aware of their breath and how it can soothe them.
I always believe that it will come from the parent first. So I like to teach the parents that even just saying your tantrum is overwhelming me, I'm going to sit down and take 3 breaths. They'll see that and they'll watch that, and or if you lose it as a parent and then you come back and you say, sorry, mummy, shouldn't have done that. I'm going to go and breathe now. I'm going to go and just take a few breaths. Just owning what's going on. I know I never got apologies from my dad. So for children, it's really good just to show them how you calm, because if you can't calm your emotions, how are they going to learn? Even as you're learning this, they can learn with you. But for children, blowing bubbles in a cup of water, that extends their exhale. So basically, extending your exhale lowers your heart rate. And that's coming back to what we should have learned at school. So breathing in for 4 and out for 8 is one of the best nervous system calming exercises you can do. Blowing into water with the straw, humming on the way out. My kids do this. We do this every night. I'll say family breath, and we'll all do a big hum. And then a sigh, like that. That's a nervous system relaxation too, as well as blowing pinwheels. And a really good one for children is smelling the flower and blowing out the candle. So that's
Okay.
all on the breathing bee kind of ones,
Wow.
just to give you a few little exercises for your kids just to learn to exhale longer.
Yeah.
And take a deep breath shouldn't be the wording anymore. Take a slow exhale should be the best wording these
Oh,
days, I think.
I love that. Take a slow exhale. So first of all, it was
Yeah.
calm down, calm down, calm down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, okay,
Yeah.
let's get away from that first. But you're right. Then I would say, hey, take a deep breath. And you're right. It's like, no, they're getting so much air in. They're like, you're like, no, I can't take any more air in. But yeah, take a slow exhale. That's so
Yes.
powerful.
Yeah. Or a slow breath in and out.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But exhaling, if you think about it this way, exhaling should be the most important part of your breathing. So as you exhale, you release 70% of your toxins. You're literally cleansing your body. And if you don't do this correctly, you can cause oxidative stress in your body, because if you're getting too much oxygen, which is an anxiety attack, your body can't get rid of all that old stale oxygen, and new energy can't come in to properly heal your cells. So getting rid of that exhale, especially when you're exercising too, you'll notice your health shoot up.
So interesting. I always do that
Mm.
when I'm working out, which FYI has not been for a while. I'll just be honest. I'm working on it, peeps. Anyway, it's got a few things going on, but that is one thing that I've always done. If I was running,
Mm.
can't run anymore because my knees are shot. But if I was running, I would inhale for 4 and exhale for 6. I couldn't usually get 8 because just when you're exercising. But yeah, I would always do a longer exhale. And it's
Mm.
amazing. It really does help you. Oh,
That's
fascinating.
great.
Yeah, I was so smart. I'm kidding.
You were. I didn't know to do that. I just thought more oxygen in kept me going, but it didn't. It fatigued me.
Yeah, well, and I was a collegiate athlete and our coaches were
Oh, there you
I'm
go.
just I'm just going to say no, they're just crazy. They would make us do workouts more than like running more than cross country would do. And because my
Mm.
roommate was a cross country runner and she was like, "What is wrong with your coaches?" Okay, I hope they're not listening. But they're crazy. But it was the only way that I could recover. They would have us do like
Mm.
10 100-yard dashes. And like in between, you'd get like 20 seconds. And then you'd have to do it again
Mm.
under the time. And the only way you could recover is if you exhaled and told your heart, you can calm down, you can slow down, and you will be ready. I'll probably edit all this out because it's irrelevant. But anyway, it's
No, it's
um,
good. It's
but
great.
you can tell your brain, and I know that's it sounds all hoity-toity, like, oh, you could tell, but you really can. You can tell your brain to slow your heart rate down, and it is a powerful
Mm.
tool to help you refocus, I guess. And a lot of our
Yeah.
listeners have children that do have anxiety issues or panic attacks or things that it seems like there's so many things out of their control, and breath is one thing that they can absolutely control.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, there is another one that I teach my kids that come in, which is every time they are at the end of the session, they'll recite back what I said, and I'll just cry because they pick it up so fast. But basically, I'll just get them to imagine that they're outside at a lemon tree and they've picked a lemon, and they come inside and they cut the lemon and they put the lemon in their mouth, and they'll be like, "Ooh." And I'm like, "Why are you doing that?" And they'll go, "Because it's sour." And I say, "But there's no lemon in your mouth." And then I'll say, "This is the power of your mind. You don't have a lemon in your mouth, but your body's response, you're salivating, your body's responding to what you're telling your mind. If you tell yourself you're bad at running, what will you do?" And they'll say, I'll be bad." "Oh, if you tell yourself you're amazing at running, what will you do?" And I'll say, "Well, I'll be amazing." And I always just tear up when they say it because it's so it's so easy and we've just overcomplicated it all. But your body's response to what you feed it is huge.
Absolutely. This has been so fantastic. Okay. So let's go one step further, and that's looking at, does anything change when you are dealing with a child with a disability or a special needs? For example, Teal has a really hard time exhaling. So, I try to catch her when she's doing it right. So, like when she sighs or when I see that she's taking a lovely breath and just relaxing, I will say to her, Teal, that's such a nice breath. That felt good.
Mm,
Or did that feel good? Or, I try not to make her respond, partly because she's nonverbal, so it's a little tricky. But first of all, is that what you would recommend on the honoring the breath?
yes,
Okay. Okay.
honoring it for sure. Pointing out the positive things
Okay.
are always the best, but you can always play the games with it, blowing bubbles.
That's what's
Yeah.
tricky. So for her and some other children with that are hypertonic children, their cheek muscles are so tight that they smile a lot. And so for them to make the fishy face or to bring their lips even together is hard, because
Okay.
the facial muscles and the structure, and it's why we're working with a speech therapist that's focused on this, and she's actually
Yeah.
interviewed, she's earlier on in one of the episodes. But so that is tricky. So she often blows
Okay.
out with her nose, so she will blow bubbles out of a wand. She'll try to do it with her nose. Is there any is that okay?
No, it's better to it's better to breathe out of your nose.
Oh,
Yeah. So that's great.
she's so damn smart. Oh.
She is. She is.
Okay.
The only problem with that is a lot of people get a blocked nose and they feel like they can't breathe in and out through their nose. The whole reason your nose is blocked is because you're breathing through your mouth, mostly getting too much oxygen, that your nose is like, slow down. I'm getting too much air in.
Okay.
I tape my mouth at night, and you can get children's tape that goes around the mouth. I think it's called myotape. I'll get you the name of that, or biotape. It goes around the mouth so they don't feel like they're suffocating. It just holds it's kind of like a sports sticky tape that holds the lips together. So if your child's mouth breathing at night, it'd be really good to try something like that. But that's brilliant that she nose breathes and she can blow bubbles out of her nose. I would just keep encouraging that, but see how long she can do it for.
We need to get a really light pinwheel and see if she can get her nose to make
Yeah,
that move.
yeah. There's a lot of. They should be at the dollar store. Just the little kids pinwheels.
Perfect. Well, Mary, I'm just excited. It's really cool. Just the amount of tangible things that you've given everyone in a really short amount of time is phenomenal. I really, really appreciate it. A couple of things. Where can they find you on Instagram, and what is your website? And we'll put all of this in the show notes, but I think it's fun for you to get to say it out loud.
So my website is befreetobreathe.com. I chose that name because once I learned to breathe, I felt something lift off my body and I just felt free and I felt like I could be myself. I kind of tie everything up with inner child work too, which we didn't really get to touch on, but basically it's just healing that part of you that doesn't feel safe, which all ties into your nervous system. And throughout the day, just thinking about where your tightness comes from, what age it started, things like that. My Instagram is free to breathe _, and then the breathing bee is breathing_B, and that's for the kids. And there's a little YouTube video, which is my brother's voice and my son's voice. And we just had a little animation done, and I'm getting ready on some books and stuff. So keep an eye out on that.
Oh, yeah. So fun. I highly recommend your Instagram. It's so inspirational, but it's also just really funny and quirky. I adore it. Like, I think the first time I saw you, you just took a side breath or side video of yourself breathing and showing how much your tummy extended. And
Yes.
I was like, oh crap, because it was just honest. It was so natural. And it is I'm even holding my tummy in right now as we're talking, and it's not healthy for anything within our body. So it was so empowering for me just to see it. And I just want you to know that people from halfway around the world or all the way around the world are honoring what you're doing. And I truly, I can feel it. I loved when I asked you your first question. You just touched your heart. I know this means so much to you. And the fact that you shared some time with us is just really powerful. And I truly appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Jen. And you're
Yeah.
doing amazing things too. So I just wanted to honor you in that.
Oh, thank you. But this is about you, sister. Okay. One final question. You get your podcast. Oh, come on. It's all perfect.
Okay.
So one last question is, what's one word that you would use to describe a child with special needs?
Authentic.
That's a good one. It's true.
Yeah, they're just so themselves. I love that.
That's a perfect way to end. I think we can all just try to be more authentic with who we are. And
Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah. I loved watching. Did you ever watch Derek as well? And
No.
So Ricky Gervais did this little short TV show called Derek, and he plays a special needs boy. And his whole philosophy around it was that everyone should just be like him. this character he played. But I cried in every episode. And he lives at an old folks home, and it's so funny and cool.
Where have I been? Obviously sleeping under a rock. Okay, I'm gonna check that one out.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
It's just called Derek.
Okay.
It might be on Netflix, but it might not be. I'm not actually too sure. We watched it a while ago.
I'll go search for it. That's perfect. Awesome.
Yeah. He brings a lot of heart into it, how he does.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I truly appreciate your time. Have a really wonderful rest of your day. And we will be in touch very, very soon because I want you to be my new friend.
Yeah, we're friends already. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Go tell your kids and your husband, thanks for staying off the internet.
I will.
Keeping our bandwidth up. All right. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you found one or two meaningful nuggets of information to make your day better. If you think there's value in what we do, please take a moment to tell another friend, family member, or a caregiver. We'd love to hear from you at forourspecialkids@gmail.com. You can send in a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like to learn more about, or if you'd like us to highlight a certain person, please send that information to us. It makes our show so much better and so much more valuable for you. Our Facebook and Instagram handle is For Our Special Kids. And finally, remember to witness the wonder and the wisdom within yourself and others. Until next time.